If your kids are right on the edge of needing a stroller versus not needing a stroller, then this is the video for you. In this video, I'm going to be going over how I'm going to organize my stroller for my soon-to-be 5-year-old for the next time that we go to Disney World. So let's get into it. Every time we go to Disney World, I feel like my stroller setup and park bag situation is always changing. And some of the reason is because my kids are getting older, they're needing less stuff. I don't need a diaper bag or anything like that anymore. But also, I really go back and look at what worked and what didn't and try to come up with a new strategy for the next trip. Now, the last time we were in Disney, my son was just over 4 years old, and he walked majority of the time, like a lot more than I thought he was going to. So I had my stroller set up as if he was going to be in that stroller a lot more than he really was. So I really didn't need to do a lot of the stuff that I did. I thought that my setup was really great and it worked out really well in the park. So what I did was I had like a bag with all this stuff in it that when we got to the park, I kind of organized throughout the stroller. So I would have a few things in this bag that hung on the back, and then I had a few things that would go in the side pocket and a few things that would go under the stroller, and like everything would kind of stay in their own spot, which worked out really well, like I said, while we were in the park. But the whole setup of everything, needing to put everything into this bag, and then when we got there, I had to like pull over to the side and set up the stroller how I wanted it to. And while it did work while we were in the park, that whole setup was just a little bit more than what I really want to be doing right when I get into the park. I want to be able to just get into the park and just go. So I feel that this new strategy that I'm going to be coming up with now is a little bit more realistic. And the reason why I did have everything in a big bag before we got to the park and then set it up while we were in the park is because when you are going on Disney transportation, some of the transportation you need to fold up your stroller. So it obviously doesn't make sense to have a whole bunch of stuff in the pockets and underneath the stroller if you have to fold it up. But also because when you are going through security, you need to have the bags and everything off of the stroller. So when you want to make it as easy as possible to go through security. So I had put everything into a bag so that I could have it with me while we were going through security. And then when we got through security, I was able to empty out the bag and put it throughout the stroller. So now I kind of want to streamline things a little bit. And instead of putting everything around the stroller, because like I said, my son is really not going to be sitting in the stroller. He sat in the stroller probably like the only time was when it got like dark out and we were trying to like navigate through crowds and stuff. We both just kind of felt a little bit more comfortable with him being in the stroller. So aside from that though, he was really walking majority of the time. So I really want to make the stroller work for us in this new way that we are using the stroller. And some of you might be thinking, if he's not sitting in the stroller that much, why are you even bringing a stroller? And trust me, I've heard so many comments about you don't need a stroller for a kid that's over 4 or a kid that's over 5. But you know what? It's our vacation, and I'm honestly going to hold onto the stroller for as long as I possibly can, really until my kids can be fully responsible for their own things in their own bags. And sure, you're going to hear a lot of people say that, well, a 5 or 6-year-old can carry their own bag. Okay, but what happens when they start whining and complaining? And I just don't want that on my Disney World vacation. I want all of us to be really happy and comfortable. And for us right now, that means taking a stroller and using the stroller to our advantage to be able to hold a lot of the stuff, extra stuff that we need. Because with a 5-year-old, I'm still bringing an extra change of clothes. Not even because he'll have an accident, but he could run into the splash pad and be soaked and want clean clothes, or anything could happen. He could spill Dole Whip all over his shirt. And, you know, so for me and where my family is right now, we're going to be using the stroller probably for a couple more years. Okay, so this is the bag that I'm going to be bringing. It's a Waterfly backpack. It is super lightweight, and what I absolutely love about this backpack is that it folds up into this pouch. I'll show you how it does that at the end of the video, but it is super lightweight, and it can very easily, the straps are mesh, so it's nice if you do have to wear it. But what I was figuring with the backpack is I can very easily wear this on the bus, through security. You know, it's very easy to just take it off the stroller, throw it over my shoulder, and be ready to go when we need to fold up the stroller or go through security, and everything will be in this bag. Because like I said, with older kids, you just don't need as much stuff as you did when the kids were younger with diapers and all that. My son does have food allergies, so I do still need to bring some food with us. So that is another reason why I like to have the stroller, because I'm just bringing other stuff with us. It's very hard to be completely minimalistic when you have a kid that has food allergies. You want to bring food with you. So this bag can really hold so much stuff. And I absolutely love being organized. And one of the things I have always had a hard time with backpacks is that it's just an empty space. So for me, the way that I like to organize backpacks is to have pouches that's separating everything. And another thing that I love about this backpack is that because it's so lightweight and flexible, when you unzip it, you really can just pull it all the way down and really see what's in your bag. And if you notice right off the bat, all of my stuff is like down here on the bottom. So I have so much space on the top here. So if you're going in the cooler months and you have a sweater, you can very easily put it in here. Or if you're getting souvenirs or anything like that, they can very easily fit in the top of the bag. So what I have in the back, I have back here is like a couple of wet bags with ponchos and change of clothes. And then I like to have the pouches separated and organized. So like this pouch has our utensils in here. I love to bring their bamboo utensils. I love to bring them with us because there has been so many times where we get quick service or food from a festival booth and we forgot to grab silverware or they didn't have any, and those plastic knives and stuff can just break so easily. So it's really nice having our own set of utensils. Everybody gets their own set. You know, I have like a pouch that has sunscreen in it and a medicine pouch and things like that, just to make it a little bit easier with the open space of the backpack. And also, when you do have the luxury of having a stroller, being able to carry all of this stuff, when you are walking from, like, let's say you park your stroller and you're heading to a ride, you now have the luxury of not having to wear a super heavy backpack. Instead, you can have your own little bag, whether it's a fanny pack or a crossbody bag, maybe even like a Loungefly, a smaller bag that's not going to weigh you down, but you are going to want to have some necessities with you when you are away from your stroller. So this is just the crossbody bag that I use when I am away from the stroller. I really like this one. It was super cheap. It's like $10 on Amazon. I will have that, and everything else will be linked down below as well. But in here, I just have things that I'm absolutely going to need, like my travel wallet. I have our pin trading stuff in here because you never know when you're going to see a pin board. There could be one at a ride entrance or at a little shop that you see on the way. And then I always keep like a little pouch with some band-aids and things like that. You always want to have that on you as well. And I also like to have just like a little fan with me. If you're standing outside in line and you're just hot or someone's hot, it's always good to have that. I also have my phone charger because I have found sometimes that, like, if I'm waiting in line or if we're eating somewhere, oh, this is a really good time to charge my phone. So it's nice to have that with you, so that you can just charge your phone whenever you get a free moment to do so. And then I also always keep a little sunscreen. This is like one of those powder sticks. I have been using this thing for years and years and years, and it is so amazing because when you put it on your face, you don't get that like greasy sunscreen feel. The kids don't give me a problem putting it on, so it's really nice to have in. I keep it in this bag. It's the perfect time while we're waiting in line to get some extra sunscreen on everybody's faces, so that works out really well. Okay, so I know that I said I'm trying to move away from having a big bag and then spread out everything into the stroller, but there are a couple of things that I am going to be putting into the stroller that aren't really going to fit in the backpack. And also, I like to give myself another bag because you just don't know if you're going to be buying souvenirs and stuff. If everything is going to fit into this one bag that you brought, you just don't want to have to be like trying to carry things and the bag and your kids and the stroller. And this bag also folds down into a small little pouch, which makes it so easy for packing. But this will just fold out super easily. I absolutely love this bag. It just folds out like this, and the bottom part actually extends so it becomes even bigger. So now I will have this bag and the backpack going through security and being on the transportation and things like that. So I just feel like 2 bags is fine. Luckily for me, I travel with my husband, so we kind of share responsibility of the bags and things. If you are traveling by yourself, a bag like this with a strap that can go over your shoulder plus a backpack, I think you would be fine, especially if you have a lightweight stroller, to make it easy to navigate through all of the transportation and things like that. But in this bag, I will have our stroller rain cover because, as you can see, like, this is big, it takes up space. I don't want to have to like try to stuff that in the backpack plus, with everything else. So there is going to be, pulling over to the side when you get there just to kind of take this stuff out and put it where it needs to go. But it's not as much stuff as it was for me before. So that goes in there. And then I'm also going to have a bag with water bottles in it because we like to have bottled water when we're in the parks. We just don't necessarily like the Florida water. So instead of buying $5 water bottles, we bring water bottles with us. I used to bring a separate backpack cooler bag that was a great idea, I thought, but it's so big and our stroller is small. It's a small travel stroller, so it was kind of hard to find a spot for it, especially if my son was sitting in the stroller. My husband would wind up having to carry it, which is fine. But if we can get away from anybody having to carry these big bags, like I said, you want your stroller to work for you. You don't want to have to like carry all these bags when you have a stroller that can be doing some of the heavy lifting for you. So instead of the giant backpack cooler bag, we are just going to have a wet bag with a bunch of water bottles in it, because also with the cooler bag, we found that it wasn't really necessary to try to keep the water bottles cold in the cooler bag. It becomes a hassle to try to get ice and all of that. So we found it was much easier to just make sure our water bottles always had ice in them. And then we could just pour the regular water bottles in them, and it would make it cold with the ice in it. So anytime that we would stop at like a quick service, or if anybody's running low, we would just run into the nearest quick service and fill up with ice. So that is going to go in here, and that would also go into this bag, which will make it heavy on the way there, but lighter on the way back. And then I also have this tray that I absolutely love, and I'm gonna show you exactly what I do for this when I show you the stroller setup. So that is going to go in here as well. And then the last thing that's going to go in here is the stroller fan. So that's just going to stick right in here. That's it. That's the only things that I'm going to be putting around the stroller. And the reason why I do that is because the bag is big, and if I already have a park bag that I'm needing to put on the stroller or anywhere, it becomes a little bit hard to figure out where it's going to go. So, if my son does decide to sit in the stroller, we have to make sure that these bags have a place to go. So instead of trying to figure out where the bag can go, I can just easily put these couple of things around the stroller in, and I'll show you exactly where I do put those things. But then this bag can just fold right up. And as you can see, I have so much space in here if I did need the extra space aside from the backpack. Okay, so since I said my son doesn't sit in the stroller like 95% of the time, I'm literally just going to plop our park bag in the seat of the stroller. This will help keep it weighed down because if something's hanging off the back, it very easily could tip over without any weight on the bottom. Now I do have on the bottom here, I do have our stroller cover is under here in this wet bag. But then on top of it is the bag that I would be putting all of our water bottles in. So that would go down here as well. And that would also help to keep the weight on the bottom of the stroller so that it doesn't tip. But as the day goes on and we start using the water bottles, the weight under there is going to be less and less and less. So that is why I keep the bag here as opposed to on the back of the stroller, because if I put it on the back of the stroller without my son in it, it would tip over. But I do have these Velcro hooks here that the backpack would easily go onto if my son did decide that he wanted to go for a ride in the stroller. And then as you can see, I also have a stroller fan attached to the top. Now, because he doesn't sit in the stroller too much anymore, I don't have one attached to the tray, which I did when he was little. But now that he's bigger and not sitting in it as much, I actually had one up here and down there, but we don't use the one down there anymore. If he's sitting there, he will have his own fan that he can use if he gets hot. He knows how to use the fans and things like that. But this is great to have when you're pushing the stroller, because when you are pushing the stroller with two hands, you really don't have another fan to be able to fan yourself. So this way, the fan can be directed straight to the person who is pushing the stroller, which is really nice. And I also have here on both sides of the stroller are these much bigger hooks that can really hold a lot of weight. And this is what we put our water bottles onto. So there will be 2 water bottles on each side of the stroller. And another great thing about these particular hooks is that they have this nice little padded spot here. So my son can easily hold onto this while we're walking through like a busy part of the park, just so that he has something that he can hold onto, which works out really, really well. This side pocket, I used to have, like I said, I used to have like everything like organized into here. This had like all of my son's things that he would use in the stroller. But now that he's not sitting in it much anymore, we just have this little tray in here that I kind of talked a little bit about before, and I'm going to show you exactly how this works. This is sitting inside the cup holder, and this is so amazing. This is really made for a car seat, but I decided to try it in this cup holder. Like maybe, I think I've been doing this for like 3 years now, but it works out so well. Your cup can still fit in here, and especially if you are in Epcot for a festival and you're walking around with food, this makes it so easy to be able to get your food, and you can either walk and eat at the same time, or just make it easier to bring your food to a table. Before we got this stroller, I had a different stroller that had a better cup holder up front, and I actually had another one of these that would go in my son's cup holder up front, just to give him a little bit of a bigger surface for eating or even for like playing with toys while he was in the stroller. So if you do have a younger kid that's in a stroller that would still be sitting for a little while, these are really great to have up front as well, but it really, really works out so well for the parents who are walking and trying to eat at the same time. This thing has been amazing. And this like exact tray is actually not being sold anymore at Amazon. That's how old it is. But they updated it, I think. So I'm gonna link the updated version, but I can't speak on how well it is because I have only used this one. So, but I will still link it down below. You know, it's by the same company and everything like that. They've just updated it over the years. So, so that's that. That's the tray, and I absolutely love using this thing. All right, so that's the stroller setup. And like I promised, I'm gonna show you how easily this bag folds up. So it all folds up into this front pouch. You just unzip it and you literally just turn everything inside out and just like stuff it in the pouch. It seriously makes things so easy for traveling with having both of my park bags being able to go down into this size pouch. It just makes traveling so much easier. So that does it for this video. Go ahead and give it a thumbs up if it helped you out in any way. And let me know down in the comments if you have an older kid that you are going to be using the stroller for on any upcoming trips. And don't forget to subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time.